April 27th changed my life, period. I remember just the sheer chaos of the newsroom, of listening to Paul Barris's reports, and it's, tornado here, get underground, everyone hide. And I just remember sitting in the newsroom like, oh my God, what's really happening? When you look at the forecast, when you looked at the radar, I couldn't get a grasp of how bad it was. Seeing just the vast amount of damage, I had never seen anything like that before. And I remember going through neighborhoods and just seeing homes, pushed out into a field, huge homes. And I think what was most shocking was seeing the look on people's faces of just like no hope and just despair. It was just, what do I do next? And I remember looking at this home, and there were a lot of volunteers there that were still just sort of sifting through everything. And I remember hearing the story of the family that lived there. It was a mom, dad, daughter who was a teacher, and her little sister. And Dad, 67 years old, held the little sister in his arms as the tornado went over the house. Brick fell on him, broke his leg. He was in the hospital, Mom was in the hospital. And younger daughter was the only one who didn't have to go, and she was there with the volunteers walking around, and she was just so sad. She said she missed her family so much. And I just remember all the people that had pitched in to help, but the little girl was just so sad, and she didn't know if they would live or not. They did live, but I just remember that family. I went back to find them. They had already packed up. I wanted to tell them how, courageous this little girl was, to go back after this tragedy and still help and try to clean up, after she lost everything. When you get into day 3 or 4, because for that first week covering the tornado, day 3 or 4, the fatigue kicks in. 12, 14-hour days, phone calls, where do I go for help, what do I do? And so around day 3, I remember driving around, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't know how much more of this I can take. At some point, you got to put the camera down and just, be a neighbor to this guy. And so, but there wasn't much I can do. I couldn't get him his house back. Most I could do was get him a meal or something. But I just remember, just looking at him and seeing that look on his face of, like, someone help me. And I felt like I was the only one that could do something, and I couldn't do anything. So I struggled a lot with that, seeing people, elderly people out there just walking around. It's like, who's going to help these people? Some of my coworkers, we all volunteered because I didn't have that much damage at my place. And I said, you know what, I could take the energy that I have and go help someone else. And I remember helping this little old lady. It took us 3 hours to cut down 2 trees and move everything to the front yard. And she was so thankful that somebody came out to help. And for me, one thing I always say that I absolutely hate covering stories like that where something disastrous happened, but I love the human spirit of rebuilding and recovering. And I learned that people don't give up, no matter what. They don't give up, and that they help their neighbor. I mean, they are there for one another, and it really restores a sense of pride in you, to say, I feel like if I needed help, my neighbors would help me. But it was a moment where you can just sort of see the sun just shine on everyone, and it's like a second wind. And everybody went back for for round 2 and said, you know what, I won't let this person, my neighbor, I don't even know him, but I won't let him, be without. And so I really did learn a lot about the compassion that we have for one another, even if we don't know each other. And Salvation Army in Cleveland, whenever I'm there, I try to go by their coffee shop. The guy who runs it, I met him volunteering, and we've been friends ever since. And so the community connection, you do feel it, because in a way, even though I didn't live in Bradley County, when those tornadoes hit, those were still my neighbors, to a certain degree. And I represent these people in the community. So I feel as if anything, I was more connected after this. Because I got a chance to get out there, jeans and a t-shirt, help people move stuff, help people along the way. And so it was definitely a stronger bond for me.